top story, 2 minor students have been injured in South Kashmir's Shopian district. That's after a school bus that they were travelling in came under attack from stone pelters. Shopian police say a vehicle of the Rainbow International School was attacked with stones near Zavura village. The 2 injured students were taken to a nearby hospital.
साढ़े 8 बजे तक हमने अपने बच्चों को तैयार करके स्कूल के लिए भेज दिया। तो स्कूल बस जा रही थी ज़ोरा के आसपास, क्योंकि मैं वहाँ पे नहीं था खुद, मैं हॉस्पिटल बाद में पहुँचा हूँ। तो वहाँ क्या कहते हैं कि पथराव हुआ है, तो उसी पथराव की जद में मेरा बच्चा भी आ गया और उसको जो है पत्थर सर में लगा है।
Speaking to WION, the State Police Chief SP Vaid has confirmed the registration of a first information report in the case. He's also promised that action will be taken against the culprits. Mr. Vaid also ruled out any provocation on anybody's part to the stone pelters. He described the incident as madness at its worst.
The children have been shifted, injured have been shifted to the hospital. We have registered an FIR, and I have instructed my officers to identify these criminals. They should face the law, and we assure everyone that action shall be taken against them. And I appeal to the parents and to the civilians of that area. They should assist the police in identifying and taking these people to law. Provocation, there was no provocation. Pelting on children, what kind of provocation could it be? I don't think the school children have any provocation to this stone pelters. These people have gone, it's madness at its worst.
Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti has tweeted about her anguish over the incident. She said, "I'm shocked and angered to hear of the attack on a school bus in Shopian. The perpetrators of this senseless and cowardly act will be brought to justice." National Conference leader and former Chief Minister Omar Abdullah also hit out at those who had thrown stones. He tweeted, "How does pelting stones on school children or tourist buses help advance the agenda of these stone pelters? These attacks deserve our unequivocal condemnation." Kartikeya Sharma now joining us from the WION newsroom. Kartikeya, we've seen incidents of stone pelting and how it led to an increase in tension, but this time after tourists, school children have been attacked.
See, there are 2 things here. This stone pelting incident actually reveals the true face of the pelters. Generally, there was sympathy, and the whole stone pelters were being romanticized by a certain section of the civil society as those who were opposed to the state government. But the fact of the matter is that stone pelting is a tactic employed by them. It is to portray an image that the ruling or the forces are using disproportionate force against the school-going children or school-going college students. But the fact of the matter is that stone pelting is a tactic funded by the proxies, funded from across the border, and it's an organized event. It's not an unorganized event. It's not an unorganized protest. It's an organized protest where you don't get to see the person who has organized it.
Kartikeya Sharma reporting from the newsroom. The Collegium of 5 Supreme Court Judges of India has deferred a decision on the elevation of K.M. Joseph, the Chief Justice of the Northern Indian state of Uttarakhand, to the top court. The meeting of the Collegium came after the Union government rejected its recommendations to elevate Justice Joseph to the apex court. The 5 senior-most judges, Justice J. Chalameshwar, Justice Ranjan Gogoi, Justice Madan Lokur, Justice Kurian Joseph, and the Chief Justice of India, Deepak Mishra, are part of this collegium. If at some point the collegium reiterates its preference for Justice Joseph, this would make it incumbent upon the government to issue a warrant for his appointment to the Supreme Court. Last week, the Union Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad wrote to the Chief Justice to reconsider Justice K.M. Joseph's name while approving the collegium's decision to appoint Justice Indu Malhotra. Jessica Taneja now joining us live from New Delhi for more on that. Jessica, this particular case immediately deferred. Do we know any reasons?
Well, the reasons haven't been given out as of now, and we just saw that the decision of the collegium or the communication from the collegium was uploaded on the Supreme Court website. It stated the fact that the discussion was about the reconsideration of the elevation of Chief Justice of Uttarakhand High Court K.M. Joseph's the elevation to the Supreme Court, but that just said deferred, quote unquote. So one does not know the reason why this case was deferred. Now, deferred simply means here that the case will be, or this particular issue will be taken up by the collegium in the future. It has just been stalled for a later time to be discussed.
Jessica, they've not given any date for that further hearing either.
Well, it is in fact a collegium discussion, so it happens behind closed doors. It's confidential. But if you remember, going back to last year, where another, first of the Supreme Court had come out and said the collegium decisions will now be made public. And now we're seeing the collegium matters that are being discussed within closed doors are also being made public. And there was a lot of, hype around the fact that Justice Jasti Chilameshwar was not in court today, and there was a notification even released by the Supreme Court saying that he's not sitting in court too, which is his usual. And also, Amitabh, the fact that he retires in June, but 15 May would be his last sitting in the courtroom. So of course, given all that hype and given the fact that this particular information has now come out on the Supreme Court website, one doesn't know as to when is the next meeting or what are they going to decide next. Will they reconsider or resend Chief Justice K.M. Joseph's name, or will they not send his name again, is now under a total mystery.
Jessica Taneja reporting from the Supreme Court in New Delhi. Even as the so-called Windrush scandal involving immigrants from the Caribbean remains a hot topic in the UK, there is now fresh controversy involving Indian professionals. Dozens of Indian doctors, teachers, entrepreneurs and other professionals have gone to court challenging a UK government order denying them the right to live and work in Britain. They've been staging protests after the UK Home Office rejected their applications for indefinite leave to remain in Britain. Some of them have gone in appeal in the immigration appeals courts. The Indian professionals are hopeful that the new Home Secretary, Sajid Javid, will be sensitive to their concerns and take a fair immigration decision. All of them are in the UK on a general visa and are entitled to apply for permanent residency status. That's after 5 years of stay in the UK. But changes were brought in visa rules a few years ago, and a rule linking the applicant's good character was brought in, increasing the problems of applicants. Mandy Clark now joining us from London. Mandy, we're going to play out that heated debate that took place in the UK Parliament with the Prime Minister there talking on the Windrush scandal, but talking about Indian potential immigrants. Are the courts likely to take note of them moving it? Is the government likely to take note?
Well, certainly a lot of them, they're behind me staging a protest today. They want to get as much interest as possible. And certainly the mood is changing. So it's a good time, if there's going to be a change, for them to take it seriously. They have indefinite leave to remain, many of these highly skilled migrants who were on a Tier 1 visa. And many have been rejected for their application for very reasons that you'd normally hold people who are under the Terror Act with. So issues with paying tax, they seem like very minor things. And it's putting into questions, causing a lot of stress for people who stayed here. Some people have been here 2 years without pay because they have been put under this indefinite leave to remain with a big question mark, and taking it to the courts.
Mandy, stay with us. I do believe that some of those people protesting are behind you. Meanwhile, the debate over immigration also was heating up in the British Parliament today. Prime Minister and the opposition leader clashed over the so-called Windrush scandal.
Be helpful if I first update the House on the actions the government has taken and is continuing to take in relation to the Windrush. In relation in relation to the Windrush generation, because my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, will be addressing the House on this later today. We all share the ambition to make sure we do right by members of the Windrush generation, and that's why he will be announcing a package of measures to bring transparency on the issue, to make sure that the House is informed, to reassure members of this House, but more importantly, to reassure those people who have been directly affected. Speed is of the essence, and my right honourable friend will be commissioning a full review of lessons learned, independent oversight and external challenge, with the intention of reporting back to this House before we rise for the summer. And the review will have full access to all relevant information in the Home Office, including policy papers and casework decisions.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Mr. Speaker, this was a crisis made in the Home Office by successive Home Secretaries. And only a week ago today, the member for Hastings and Rye, then Home Secretary, was denying there were any targets in front of the Home Affairs Select Committee. On Monday, the Prime Minister told the media, when I was Home Secretary, yes, there were targets. One wonders why the Prime Minister didn't tell her Home Secretary about that. And the pain that's been caused to the Windrush generation needs to be resolved very rapidly and full compensation paid as quickly as it can be possibly done, and an understanding of the hurt that they feel. But this isn't the only failure of this government or the only failure of its policies. The government used to talk about a long-term economic plan. But now, Mr. Speaker, we're the slowest growing economy in the G7. The Chancellor, sitting 2 places along from her, told the House his view was positively tiggerish of the British economy, yet it has the worst economic growth figures for 5 years. What plans does the government have to change course to ensure we do get economic growth?
At its annual developers conference on Tuesday, social media giant Facebook has announced a new dating feature that can go a long way. Facebook is perceived and defined. The feature is of matchmaking. According to Facebook, its users will be able to set up a dating profile with their first name, which the company says will not be visible to friends and will not appear in news feeds. The company is looking at this feature as an opt-in, and users will not be matched with people they are already friends with. Before dating, the social networking company has also expanded into several other features pioneered by other tech companies, ranging from job postings to payments and online food delivery. But investors in other online dating platforms were spooked by Facebook's announcement into the space. Shares of Match Group, the parent company of dating platforms like Tinder, Match.com and OkCupid, plunged as much as 19% on Tuesday afternoon following the news. Shares of IC Interactive Corporation, the majority owner of Match, also fell 11%. Ankit Tuteja now joins us from the WION newsroom for more on that. Ankit, this is Facebook's move to try and keep people on the platform for as long as possible?
Amitabh, it's very interesting to see something like this coming from Facebook. But honestly, I'm not surprised. In fact, it seems to be a very strategic move from the social network. Because what we see is that a lot of young users, a lot of young people are moving away from Facebook. They have started to live on other services like Instagram and Snapchat. So the introduction of such a feature by Facebook is actually an attempt to bring back all the young users back to the social network. So it's an interesting feature, but honestly, it's not something that we should be surprised of. And another thing I want to make here is that this is something that the company had been planning for over a decade now. And finally, after 10 years, the company has managed to announce this feature as to they're going to bring back the dating app. But what is to be seen here is as to when the new feature is going to come out, when people will be able to actually use the feature.
Ankit Tuteja reporting from the WION newsroom. The World Health Organization's report on the quality of air features 14 Indian cities on top of its list as the most polluted. Kanpur, a North Indian city, leads the pack of polluted Indian cities, and there are 13 more that follow: Faridabad, Varanasi, Gaya and Patna, as well as Delhi, Lucknow and Agra, Muzaffarpur, Srinagar, Gurgaon, Jaipur, Patiala and Jodhpur are all on that list. Neighbouring China, on the other hand, has shown signs of improvement. Beijing has bolstered its anti-pollution measures. In 2013, as many as 16 Chinese cities were among the global top 20 most polluted cities in the world, and now there are only 4. Even though China still features on the most polluted cities, it has managed to make significant improvements, a lesson that India can surely learn. In fact, it's not just China that India can take lessons from. There are several cities across the world which have sustained their place on the world's cleanest cities list. Looking at some of these cities famous for being the cleanest and what works in their favor, the city of Calgary in Canada has a population of over 1 million, but it is one of the cleanest cities in the entire world. Despite being in a booming oil and gas region, the city has strategically planned measures to help reduce traffic congestion and other factors that contribute to air pollution. This by maintaining a grid-like structure and using an effective light rail scheme that the city reduces its congestion and emissions. The city has also pioneered garbage transfer stations that sort through the waste and remove all biodegradable and recyclable materials, helping to reduce the need for landfills. Next on the list is Honolulu in Hawaii in the US. The city has a light manufacturing industry, with tourism being one of its largest. It has dedicated bus lanes in a transit system and promotes bus travel, which in turn reduce exhaust fumes and keeps the air clean. Helsinki in Finland is one of the many Nordic cities to make it to the list of the cleanest cities in the world. People of the city are very committed to preserving the environment and prevent littering. Wider streets across the city make them less prone to congestion, and the light rail commuter system is most widely used and reduces emissions. One of the reasons why Oslo is considered to be one of the cleanest cities in the world is because city developers have used creativity to find unusual ways to go green. One of the most effective is that the city features buses that run on biofuels taken from human waste. It's hoped that this initiative will ultimately provide enough energy for the entire city fleet. Brisbane in Australia has a population of 2.3 million but is spotless. There's also an abundance of recreational spaces, parks and botanical gardens which make the city pollution-free and the air clean. Even though it's home to several industries, all of them are environmentally friendly. The capital of Sweden, Stockholm, has been awarded the title of the cleanest capital in Europe by the European Union. That was in 2010. What works in its favor is that there are very few heavy industries which help keep emission in check. The city also has the largest percentage of clean vehicles in Europe. In Asia, the Japanese city of Kobe features on this list. The town is highly populated and is a major tourist attraction. But despite that large population of about 1.5 million, there is no public littering. The city also famous for its advanced sewage management installations. Vehicles are also extremely friendly to the environment. Kobe has Japan's most effective waste disposal systems, and it recycles most of the waste that it generates. Well, joining us from Mumbai now is WION's Pragya Jha. Pragya, this is one thing Mumbai will not be very proud of, being 4th on the list of most polluted in the world.
That's right. In fact, until very late, we were sitting back in Mumbai and thinking that located by the sea, we're safe enough. However, the recent study by WHO has dispelled that myth, really, to speak about, because I spoke to few people here in Mumbai, the Mumbaikars who stayed for quite some time in the city, and they say that the pollution levels, the increasing pollution levels are quite palpable. And talking about, the location next to the sea, people who would go out jogging to Marine Drive, the Marine Drive precinct, in fact, they say that they end up coughing, in 10 minutes of the jog. So we can in fact contribute and attribute this situation in Mumbai, the financial capital, to the ongoing construction work and the kind of development that we're seeing, unprecedented development through the city. Now, in the 10 mega cities that were considered with a population of about 14 billion, it was found that Mumbai in fact had PM10 level of 104 cubic meter, 104 microgram per cubic meter, which is almost 5 to 6 times more than the prescribed safety limits given by the WHO, and twice more than the limits that are domestically given as safe limits. And I would also like to show around that I'm standing in the middle of the city and there is construction work that is going on right here, and my camera person would just pan around and show you. Now, construction work of this type that goes around, this is also the ongoing metro work. Mumbai city is being upgraded, and this is in the middle of the city, and one can see that there are no safety or pollution checks and measures that are in place, and hence this has largely contributed to deterioration in the air pollution levels here in the city.
Right, Pragya, we've seen most people say that it's the government that should step in to make sure that the pollution levels fall, and that is to a large measure true. But we've seen private citizens who've also been involved in initiatives, including to clean up the beaches.
That's right, that's right. So the cleanup of the Warsaw beach has been one successful, in fact, a milestone for Mumbai, because for years together, the Juhu beach, the Warsaw beach was, it was looked upon in disdain, and people said that there was no hope. But of course, we had one activist who went above and, involved the civil society. So there has been this example of the civil society going forward, taking things in their hands, and hence we say that the Warsaw beach is now much cleaner, and it is at a better place, and even people around the world have written about it and how they felt a difference, a significant difference coming to the beach. Now, apart from talking about how things are in suburban Mumbai, now suburban Mumbai faces maximum pollution levels, but things are no better next to the sea. We're talking about Cuff Parade area. Those areas also, people have in fact gone on to say that construction work has led them to consider installing air purifiers in their residences. Now, for all my life here in Mumbai, I have never faced that kind of a situation, and to hear people talk about accommodating or installing air purifiers is something that really makes me sit up and understand that situation is actually very difficult, the situation that we have in hand.
Pragya Jha, thanks for that update from Mumbai.